Hi everyone, my name is Jane Baker. I live in Southwest Ohio. I'm 51 years old, and I'm still getting my periods every month, but I know that's going to change in the next year or so. I am no expert on anything but myself. I have no platform. I have no books. I have no journals, but I do have my willingness to connect with you because I know there's other women out there that are going through the same journey of getting older, facing aging with an attempt to be proactive and with an element of grace and courage. You know, when I was in my 40s, I remember almost in a prideful, arrogant kind of way, I would look in the mirror and I'd say, wow, I kind of look like I did in my 30s. Like I wonder when it's going to be different. I wonder when I'm going to look in the mirror and my face looks a little different. My neck looks a little different. Like when is that going to happen? Because I feel pretty good. And then a few years later, I looked in the mirror and I said, you know what? It is different. It is changing. If you would have met me 3 years ago, I was drinking a lot. I still smoked. I smoked a lot of weed. And I just realized that everything that I was doing normally, as far as taking care of my body, you know, I'd have my little morning routine, exercise, and eat pretty good. It just wasn't working anymore. And I just took for granted the fact that I could just kind of operate how I wanted to, and my body would respond in the way that it had for the last couple decades. I remember standing in my kitchen and I was wearing kind of like just a summer dress, kind of a not super tight, but, you know, something that hugged me. And I was standing there with my oldest son. And I kind of looked down and he kind of looked at me and he said, Mommy, he's like, you look pregnant. And I looked down, I was like, I look pregnant. You know, I've had 6 pregnancies, and I've delivered 5 beautiful, healthy babies, delivered them naturally, God bless. And I know what it feels like and looks like to be pregnant, to have a pregnant belly. And I looked down and I said, what is going on? Like, this is before I understood why women in I didn't even know there was a term called perimenopause, you know? I knew about menopause, kind of, but I didn't understand why my belly looked so big. And I was like, it must be because I've been drinking so much. I was never really a drinker, but I got in a scene where drinking was just normal and I was drinking all the time. I used to drink a lot of vodka and vodka tonics. And I decided I wanted to do something different. I wanted to make a change. And it was kind of out of arrogance and pride. Like, I looked crazy. Like, I didn't want to have such a bloated belly. So I started researching liver detox. I remember Googling, you know, how do you know your liver's not good? And I didn't, this is before I even understood any terms around like fatty liver, but I was like, how do you detox your liver? How do you not look so bloated? And I just had an instinct that it was my liver, because I was drinking so much, that was the culprit. So I found all kinds of things, started researching castor oil packs, and I came across this Dr. Mindy Peltz, who changed so much, started researching fasting and hormones. And I didn't even know, like I said, there was a term called perimenopause. But just like when you're buying a car or you have a make and model that you want to purchase, you start seeing that car everywhere. And so I realized how much was out there, how many women were talking about perimenopause and all the support and all the research and knowledge. And I just dove in. And it was for personal selfish reasons, because I didn't want to age. I didn't want to face the reality that there's no going back. So instead of putting my head in the sand and just continuing like normal, I decided to make a change. I started researching, and I started fasting more. I started making changes, and now I have all this kind of knowledge, but I don't know what to do with it. Like here's my textbook that I got. I'm certified as a midlife menopause coaching specialist. I'm certified. Here's my outline of my workshop. Here's my workshop outline that I'm supposed to get together and take off and start building digital content to sell and doing workshops, and I don't know what to do with it. I'm not prepared. I'm not organized or disciplined enough to actually get this off the ground. But here I am recording because God keeps putting on my heart, this is part of your assignment. This is part of your ministry. There are other women that are going to find this, and not just, like I said, not women, but everyone in the house that's affected and that's seeing their partner, their female, their mama going through stuff that they don't get. And when I started researching the impact on divorce rates, the impact on mental health, the impact on what midlife can look like in the negative, I said, you know what? I don't care if I'm not prepared. I don't care if I don't have a platform or a program or anything to offer but myself. But here I am trying to offer it because I know there's other women that are going to find this and want to learn more. And I got knowledge to bring. I got things to bring, But here I am, first off, just understanding that I'm bringing myself, my whole self, my vulnerable self, because I feel like I've learned things and have made changes that have shifted my authority in getting older. Not my perfection in it, not my ability to change it or to stop time. I do believe in biohacking, as far as like there are things that we can actively do. But I do feel like I have a confidence and authority that I want you to also discover in yourself. And a lot of it is just knowledge. Like I'm going through this training, this certification, and learning stuff around my body and my hormones and my cycle. Like, why didn't I know this when I was a teenager? Like, why didn't I know this when I was bearing children? And just the knowledge of what is going on in your body is like freeing. It gives you a leg to stand on where you just don't feel so reactionary. I think I spent most of my life just reacting. Like I had no participation in the way that I'm starting to participate now. And you might be in your late 30s, you might be in your early 40s, mid 40s, early 50s, like regardless of where you are, the more that you understand what your body is doing physically, the more you feel kind of in charge. Not in control sometimes, but at least in charge. I do a lot of tracking of different things and what your hormones are doing each month. And it's exciting stuff. And the more that I've learned, the more that I know that I have something to offer. There's an oversaturation, it feels like, of people out there helping women through menopause and all this and that. And because of that, I almost said, well, who needs another voice? Who needs another person trying to help women through the change? And God keeps telling me, but your voice isn't out there. You're not out there. It's okay to duplicate what others are doing because someone is going to be helped. Someone is going to find your videos and find you and be motivated to do the same thing you did several years ago, which is to make a change. There's a beautiful woman out there. I think Melanie's her name, and I love it. Like she's gotten so popular in her community, and she has excuse me. I didn't think I'd be crying this early in the game, but she has a beautiful kind of movement, and her thing is the "We Don't Care Club" or "We do not care club." And when I first found her, I couldn't stop watching her shorts and her videos. She comes on with 3 pairs of glasses and her highlighter, and And, you know, I love it in the sense of, yeah, you get to the point where it's like, we don't care. Like we're going through this. And, but I kind of said, this isn't me. Like I care enough to care. I do care enough to care. And what I want to help women understand through my own mistakes and errors is that having an authority as you get older, as you're getting into perimenopause and menopause, sometimes it's the first time in your life where you put yourself first all the way. But I think I took that to the extreme where no one else mattered and only my choices and what I wanted meant anything. And I think there's a balance to approaching this time in our life and putting ourselves first, but not in a selfish victim mentality kind of way where it doesn't impact everyone else in our life. We don't get on an island and say, well, I'm going through menopause, so I can do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And like, where is the sweet spot where you gain authority and confidence in valuing yourself and putting yourself first without disconnecting and making choices and changes that impact families in a way that is harmful and can cause trauma? I can speak to that because that's what I did. And I do not want that for you. So we're just going to keep going forward. I do have a little bit of scripture to share with you. This passage is used a lot. Everyone kind of speaks to like, I'm doing a new thing in your life, So this is Isaiah 43:19. And I like the New Living Translation. It says, "For I am about to do something new. See, I have already begun. Do you not see it? I will make a pathway through the wilderness. I will create rivers in the dry wasteland." And this speaks to so many different scenarios in your life, but think of how I was in the kitchen looking down at my bloated belly, and it was something new. And it had already begun. It had already kind of begun before I even saw it. So we do pray that we see this as not a detriment and downfall, and now everything's going to go haywire and worse, and I'm dealing with all these symptoms, and don't you know what I'm going through, kind of thing. Yes, he is doing a new thing. Do you see it? And in that kitchen, I decided to open my eyes and see it. And then I do pray, Lord, make a pathway through this wilderness. Create rivers in the dry wasteland. As we get more and more dry, Lord, please create the rivers that will provide a oversaturation of not just health and water and richness and fertility in a different way, not being fertile as we were in our days of fertility, but make every area that's dry in our lives refreshed with living water, with the rivers of living water, and help us get through this wilderness. As we walk together, it is going to be a walk with God. I put God in every other conversation in my life. Why wouldn't I include God in this conversation of going through perimenopause and menopause? And why wouldn't God be what we lean on when we go through this significant change in our lives? So we'll explore together. Thank you. Share this video. Grow this community. I do want it to be a place where people can come for knowledge, but also prayer and support and community. There's so many things out there, like I said, so many people out there that are having this conversation. Let's have this conversation too. All right, you're doing great. You're doing great. And every day you're going to feel even more confident in making the choices and the decisions that feed you, that put those rivers in your dry wasteland, that get a pathway out of this wilderness. God's going to lead the whole show, but your participation, your daily decisions, your daily choices, your daily actions are going to be the steps that also lead you out of this feeling of wilderness. All right. Till next time, you're doing great.